Hey there, folks. Welcome to episode 16 of A Pebble in a Pond podcast. Today's episode is about the concept and the idea and the feeling of gratitude. Now, I'm going to start with a quote right away. I know that everybody enjoys those, so we're going to go ahead and start with one that I really think sums up what we're going to be talking about today. This is by the poet John Milton, and he said, "Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world." That really will get the ball rolling, and I want to talk about that quote for just a few minutes. But before we do that, let's listen to the music. Tell you what, I have gratitude for that song because I really like that song. So, let's go back to that quote. Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world. That really is, obviously he's a poet, or he was a poet, so for me to say it's poetic is a little ridiculous, but it really is. We'll get into the exact definition of gratitude, and we'll try to make sure that everybody understands exactly what we're talking about here. But I just wanted to dive into this quote because it really did. As I was looking up quotes for this episode, that one in particular really struck me. And the reason that it struck me is because just having your basic, just having the basic understanding of what gratitude is, and let's get that definition so that we have that. According to dictionary.com, gratitude is the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. And there is no other definition. However, and this is a big however, while that's not the only definition given by dictionary.com, that is not necessarily the wording that most people attribute to gratitude. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode, was there's a popular conception of that word, a popular belief about that word, and many people will conflate it with appreciation. And we're going to talk about this as we get a little bit further into the episode. We are going to really dissect the difference between these two things, gratitude and appreciation. Because I have an episode on appreciation already. So when I was deciding to do this episode, I had to kind of struggle with that. Like, is it worth doing a whole episode about a concept that is essentially the same thing in most people's minds? And as I researched it more and more, I began to understand there is a very large difference that we're going to get into here. But I want you to kind of wrap your head around a different way of wording that definition. So the dictionary definition is the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. That's the dictionary definition. There's another version of this, but like I said, this is a little bit more accepted as the more universal definition, and that definition is feeling or attitude in acknowledgement of a benefit that one has received or will receive. And I think that is a little bit better and a little bit more clear. Now, here's the thing. Gratitude is acknowledgement of receiving something. Now, it doesn't have to be a physical object. It can be anything. It can be an emotion. It can be a moment. It can be an experience. But it is the object or the idea of receiving something, which is very, very integral to gratitude. You can't be grateful for nothing, but you can be grateful for the absence of something. Now, just to make this clear, and this we're still going to go back to the quote, so don't get frustrated with me. we wanted to make sure we understood the definition first. Just to make this clear, it is possible to be grateful for the absence of, let's say, pain, the absence of, let's say, judgment, the absence of a lack of understanding. Well, that's a double negative, but you get what I'm trying to say. You can be grateful. Say you have a really bad relationship, and then you break up, and then you are grateful for the lack of that relationship, right? Either for the relationship being gone. What's weird about this when you get into those kind of examples, and I really did think about this a lot, it's possible to be grateful. Like if you're in a bad relationship, it's possible to be grateful for the relationship to be over, while still somehow, in a really weird way, being grateful to the person that the relationship is over with. Right? Like you can actually love that person very much and be grateful for their existence and for what they brought into your life, but still be grateful that the relationship with them is over. And that's kind of a weird thing, but it is possible to have that happen. So now that we have a definition for exactly what gratitude is, let's revisit that quote one more time. Gratitude bestows reverence. Reverence, just for those of you that may not know, is basically a deep respect. Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world. Now, what exactly does this quote mean? What does it mean to you? Take a moment, pause the podcast, and I want you to think about this. What is something in your life that you are grateful for, that you truly in your heart feel grateful for, existing, having, being, whatever it may be? And how has that idea, object, moment, or emotion, how has it opened up yourself, opened up your eyes, and opened up your heart to other things? Because this is what makes gratitude such a powerful, powerful thing. I'm going to get to another quote about that in just a few minutes, but I want you to understand that gratitude is what it's sort of the kind of thing that they used to call a gateway drug. They used to say that alcohol and marijuana are gateway drugs because they lead to harder drugs. Gratitude works that way with emotions. Gratitude is kind of the gateway to opening up the doors and opening up your heart to many, many positive emotions. It really does make you, it puts you in a mindset or a mind state and an emotional space where you're ready to receive. It really does do that. And one of the things that makes it so powerful is exactly what he's talking about here. It bestows reverence. It gives you a deep respect for whatever the thing is, whatever it is that you have gratitude for. I know that, and we'll just use this as an example, I know that many people, including some that listen to this podcast, absolutely love their morning ritual. It is the center of everything for them. They can't start their day and have a good day without their morning ritual. They wake up whatever time, they get their cup of coffee made, and they go and they sit at the window and they watch the sun come up, or whatever it may be, or they watch the birds and the bird feeder, or they have that moment of peace, that moment of calm. And I know that that's how it is for a lot of people. And it's that kind of the repetition of it. But what is it that you really appreciate? What is it that you really have gratitude for? And you'll find that if you really sit and you think about something like that. Now, if you don't have this ritual, then, think about whatever it is that you have, that you are grateful for, that you have gratitude for. Now, what is it about that? For some people, it's the ritual of it, right? For some people, it's just the fact that this is what they've kind of programmed into themselves to be the start of their day. But for others, it really is this deep, and they may not even know it. You may not have ever really put the word to it, but there is a deep sense of peace and respect that comes with this. You get up, you're groggy, your mind's still fuzzy from sleep, You go over there, you do the coffee stuff, you get the coffee going, and all of a sudden you smell it. And that gets you going, right? Because you know what's coming and you know what to expect. And you go and you're, getting dressed, getting your whatever, doing whatever you do, brushing your hair, whatever it is. You go, you get your cup of coffee and you sit down. And in that moment where you're finally waking up, you're transitioning from that sleepy, fuzzy state inside your head to a more alert, more active, ready to, take in whatever happens the rest of the day. And then you look out. You look out your window, you look out, whatever it is that you're doing, you're reading the paper, whatever it may be, I don't know. And for me it's kind of looking out the window. That's why I use that example. And you have that moment, just kind of a moment in nature. Some people sit on their back patio and they'll look out and they have that moment in nature. And in that moment, you really do feel a part of everything. You feel as if your love and respect for the things around you is so great that it really does set up the whole rest of your day. And like I said, many people don't really realize that they do this. They just do it because it's just their ritual. But if you really take a moment and you think about what you go through every morning, the kind of way that you get going, most people are going to find that we have these one or two moments that we kind of steal for ourselves, that get our mind right, that get us ready to go and get us moving. Now, obviously, this quote that I'm focusing on here says a lot more than just that, but this is an example of what I'm talking about and what I believe, had he not lived in 1612 or whatever, he would also think this way. Gratitude bestows reverence. It allows us to sit there, and these everyday epiphanies he's talking about are literally just that. They're things that you do every day, or things that you may encounter every day, that you're just so grateful for, that they can change the way you see the world. They can change the way you see your life. I'm actively, for those of you that follow me on TikTok and those of you that have listened to the podcast, you know that I am actively in my life trying to incorporate many of the things that I talk about on these platforms. And one of the things that I'm doing is when I'm going out into the world, whether it be the grocery store or to a basketball game or whatever it may be, I'm trying to actively engage with people. And that really started to, I really started to understand what that can do with the basketball games. For those of you that don't know, I have season tickets that I absolutely love to my favorite team, the Orlando Magic. And so I go to every game, and it was with this kind of change and this conscious effort to decide to engage with people that I've really seen some crazy things happen. There was a situation a few months ago now where I had the opportunity to kind of, I guess you could say, take care of some of the folks in the area that I sit. Because, with season tickets, you always sit in the same place. And I don't have, great seats. I mean, for me, I think they're wonderful. But, it's not like I'm paying out the nose for them or anything. They're actually really, really good price. And that's why I have them. But the people in my area, there's 3 or 4 season ticket holders. And one of them is an older gentleman who's a disabled veteran. And he wears a hat and he has to use a scooter and stuff like that. And the place that I sit is actually a place that is for disabled folks, which is kind of odd, but they allow you to buy the seats there. So, and so a lot of the people that will just show up and sit there are disabled. So I tend to help them out and things like that. And at this one point, a few months ago, I had the opportunity to help everybody in the area get some of the prizes that they give out at the games and things like that. And we didn't get any in this area, so I just went and I made sure that everybody got some. It took me a little running around and a little bit of talking to some folks, but I made sure that everybody in our area was able to receive these. It was some T-shirts. And ever since then, and this is, I mean, this is literally like, this guy's a season ticket holder. He's there basically every game too. Um, every day I go to a game, this guy comes up to me and shakes my hand, grabs me by the arm, and says, "Thank you, thank you." And what's crazy is, it was just a T-shirt, but he has shown gratitude towards me every single day since then. And I think the reason is because he understands that I didn't have to do that. It was just something I was doing because I wanted to be kind. And I think that a lot of people kind of overlook him because he doesn't, he kind of just, he's on a scooter, so he kind of just rolls around. He doesn't really say much. He kind of keeps to himself. And so a lot of the people in the area that we sit in, they don't really engage with him. And the fact that I did, really, I mean, every time I see him, he's got a big smile. He's really respectful. He's really, and he's a veteran, so obviously I'm respectful back. But he's just one small example of what I'm talking about with this kind of feeling that I have of kind of gratitude, because every time I see him now, I understand where he's coming from. So I go up and I've even come up and given him a hug and been like, "Hey man, you okay? You feeling good? You need anything?" I offer to go get him a drink, so he doesn't have to go out there and do it. I offer to go buy him popcorn if he wants me to, whatever. I'm trying to help him. But even with the usher that is usually by our seats, the one that she knows me by face, she recognizes me, she knows where my seats are, and she's always there to help out, and she's just great. And so I talk to her every time I'm there, and I make sure that I'll tell her, do you need me to grab you a drink since you can't leave? Do you need me? Is there anything I can do? And what I'm doing with that is I'm not just trying to be kind. I'm trying to show them that I am grateful for their presence. I'm trying to show them through my actions and my words and the feelings that I'm projecting, just how much I appreciate these people being there. And it's funny, the guy that sits next to me is a season ticket holder, and I've done everything I can to try to form a friendship with him. He's a great guy, and he makes being at the games so much more fun than they were before, when I would just have random people sitting next to me. And it was funny because when we were deciding whether or not we were going to pick up our season tickets for the next season, we barely know each other. We just talk at games. But both of us told the ticket rep that we were talking to, we both said, individually in phone calls to our ticket rep, "Well, let me talk to the guy I sit next to." We didn't even know each other's name at the time. We're like, "Let me talk to the guy I sit next to, because if he's not going to re-up, then I might change my mind." And in all of these friendships, relationships, connections, they all come with a sense of gratitude, with a sense of respect, with a sense of understanding, with a sense of appreciation. But it all starts with gratitude. It all starts with me being grateful for being in the position I'm in with these season tickets, me being grateful for having these people around me being grateful for the services that they provide. And it really does, it can be difficult to really understand what that all means if you're not in the position. But I promise you that if you start to try to approach every person you can in your life with this kind of sense of, "I am so grateful that you're in my life. I am so grateful for what you give to me," that you will start to understand exactly what this quote is about. And I'm sorry to have to keep going on about it, but it really was one of those things where as I was reading and as I was studying, it hit me, and it was just like a bolt of lightning. I was like, this is exactly what I need to talk about here. This idea. Because as funny as it may seem, I especially on TikTok, I often get reminded of the fact that my channel and my podcast are a pebble in a pond. And it's funny because some people don't even realize, some people don't even look at my channel name before they comment, and they, say, "Oh, well, the small things that you do." And I'll be like, "Yeah, that's why it's named. That's why I named it what it is because these are small things that we can do." And, they don't realize it. And so they're like, "Oh yeah, okay." But this is at the heart of what this quote is about. Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world. Those moments are transcendent, not necessarily because they are great in scope, but because they are those moments that you begin to truly move outside of yourself and become something more. And that is what happens when you show gratitude, not just for the moments or the people, but when you try to expand it to as much as you can. Try to build a field of gratitude around you so that when you are dealing with the world, and you take a drink of water and you can say, man, this water is good. Have true gratitude for the fact that you have that good water. And I know that's difficult. I know it's something that we usually save for Thanksgiving, right? Like it's not something that we do with every point in our life, and it's difficult even for me. But sometimes, when you get into this mindset and you really are trying to practice it and exercise it, sometimes you find yourself accidentally slipping into it. And that's a really refreshing feeling. And that's how you know that it's working, is because you'll be sitting there and you'll just be going about doing your day, and something will happen or somebody will say something and you'll think, man, I'm really grateful that this person's in my life. Or, man, I'm really grateful that they make cheddar and sour cream ruffles, whatever it could be. And it seems so silly to say it like that. And I know I'm making a bit of a joke about it, but it really does. It changed everything about the way that you see the world, everything about the way you interact with people. And because it does, because these everyday epiphanies do exactly what John Milton said, they creates these transcendent moments where all of a sudden you find yourself just being so grateful for so many things, and your heart is full of love, and all you want to do is share it. When you get to that point, and trust me, it is an amazing point. It's not something that I can maintain, and it's not something that I have all the time, but it is something that is so real to me now. It's unlike anything I ever thought I could feel or even understand. And I'm not going to lie, even just saying those words out loud make me emotional. I don't know if you can tell in my voice or not. I'm getting a little bit better at controlling it, but it really does. It fills you with this desire to just spread this emotion and spread this feeling, because it's so good that it almost feels like you're greedy to not share it with others. You want people to feel grateful for you. You want to have that effect on people. You want to reach out and lift them up and make them better and make their life better. Because not only do you want them to be grateful for you, but you want them to start to feel how you feel. And it all starts with this gratitude. It all starts with understanding just how important and special the small, tiny things that you often will overlook really are in your life. That cup of coffee, that look out the window, that moment that you have in the morning to yourself. Those are the things you should be grateful for. Those are how you start. And from there, you keep building. Cicero, the Roman statesman, once said, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others." And that quote was the one I said I was going to mention. It was a little bit more than a few minutes, but that's the one that it really is kind of a gateway. Gratitude, when you start with gratitude, when you understand that feeling, exactly what it means to have gratitude in your life and in your heart, you understand how it can open up the door for so many other things. So what is the difference that I alluded to between gratitude and appreciation? Now, before I really get into this, I want to make sure that it's understood that both of these are things that you want in your life. These are both things that you should practice, you should appreciate, you should try to hone and become better at. Not just experiencing it and feeling it for yourself, but spreading it to others. Understanding exactly what these two terms mean and how they play off of each other is really a key to understanding which one you're feeling and how you can react and how you can build on whichever one it may be. So one of the first, and this is probably the biggest and the easiest way to define the two, and that's why I'm starting with this, is because some of the other ones get a little muddied, but one of the easiest and best ways to understand the difference between gratitude and appreciation is gratitude is something that you feel inside of yourself. Gratitude is something that it's in your heart, it's in your soul, it's in your body, it's inside of you. Gratitude is your way of feeling, your way of dealing with whatever it is you're grateful for. It is literally a singular thing inside of yourself. Now, what happens when you want to show gratitude? You show it through appreciation. Appreciation is how you extend your gratitude. So I hope that that's clear. Gratitude is something that you have inside of yourself. Gratitude is a feeling that you carry when someone gives you something or treats you a certain way, or you're thankful for a situation being the way that it is, or whatever it may be. And I alluded to the Thanksgiving thing earlier, but like that kind of stuff, right? Like you can sit there and you can literally, count your blessings at the Thanksgiving table. Those are the things that you have gratitude for. Now, you show gratitude through appreciation. Appreciation is what you kind of give to others. When you are grateful for somebody, you show them appreciation. You try to imbue that feeling into them. Now, the feeling is very similar. The feeling of appreciation and the feeling of gratitude they're very similar. But when you are talking about the differences between them, the easiest way to boil it down is one is interior and one is exterior. A good example of this is when, say, you're in a relationship, or it doesn't have to be romantic, it can be a friendship, whatever it may be, some sort of relationship with someone, and they do something that is very kind. Say, we'll just use the example of a romantic relationship for this because it's easier. So we'll say that somebody, the husband brings the wife flowers. Now, his reasons for doing that aren't necessarily that he's showing appreciation or anything like that, but he is absolutely, whatever his reason may be. But I'm not gonna say that there's necessarily always a good reason for giving somebody flowers, but she is going to feel, the wife is going to feel grateful for that, right? So maybe he's showing his appreciation for her. So he goes and he buys her flowers. He brings that appreciation home to her. She then feels grateful on the inside. And then what happens? She shows him her appreciation. She says, let's go out for a movie and a dinner, or, whatever. So they hug and they kiss and they enjoy some time together. They have a moment with each other because she's showing her appreciation for his the gratitude that he has made her feel. Well, that was really hard for me to say. She is showing appreciation for the gratitude that he has instilled in her, that he has kind of, through his act of appreciation and his act of love, she now feels warm and fuzzy and wants to show him and wants to do the same to him. Is that kind of clear, the way that I said that? I hope it is, because I was really confusing in my own head when I was saying it. But I'm making a real effort to not sit here and record over things and mess with it a lot with editing, because I want you guys to hear me as I'm going through this, as I'm speaking from the heart. And so when I say stuff like that that's kind of confusing, I'm just going to leave it in most of the time, unless it's really confusing and I start to swear because I'm frustrated. Then I'll probably cut it out. But you guys are going to get all of my figuring it out and, all as we go. So it's just a little aside there for you. And this is the one thing that I've kind of alluded to it, but I want to say it just straight up. This is the most important thing. With that quote, by Cicero, the Cicero quote, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others." That this is exactly what I'm talking about, and this is important. You cannot show appreciation to someone unless you feel gratitude, right? So that's really important to understand, and that's why I feel kind of stupid having done an episode on appreciation before I did an episode on gratitude, because you really must have gratitude first. Gratitude is where it starts. Gratitude is exactly the magic formula that you need inside of yourself to start to show appreciation. And once you start to show appreciation, that is what keeps relationships strong. That is what keeps friendships strong. That is what makes people want to be around you and appreciate you in return and feel grateful for you in return. It is so important to understand that it starts with being grateful, with having gratitude. Now, I'm going to start to talk about some of the ways that you can really practice gratitude. And it really is very simple. But when I started this, when I started taking notes on this, another quote that really just it just sung to me, and this one is not. I mean, it's simple. It's a simple quote, but just this is many of you know. I use quotes from him all the time, and this is actually my mom turned me on to him when I was very young. She used to listen to his motivational books on tape and stuff like that. He used to do seminars, but Dr. Wayne Dyer, who is obviously he's been dead for years now, but he has a wealth of quotes that I've used throughout all my TikTok videos and even on here. And this one was maybe one of my favorite quotes from him. And he just said, "Give yourself a gift of 5 minutes of contemplation in awe of everything you see around you. Go outside and turn your attention to the many miracles around you. This 5-minute-a-day regimen of appreciation and gratitude will help you to focus your life in awe." And what's amazing about that quote to me is, and I've detailed this on TikTok and I have talked about it here in the podcast. When I go out every day now, I go out and I make at least one video for TikTok, which, doesn't take that long. It takes me about 20 minutes to make a video. But oftentimes I will go and I will just sit. Now, when I say go outside, obviously I'm making my videos in the car, which is outside. Now, sometimes I will be out driving and I'll pull over and I'll be in a parking lot or something. But for the most part, if I'm like really punching in and getting ready to make a bunch of videos, it's just in my front yard. But when I go out there and I start to try to get, a lot of times I'll walk outside and I'll just say, I need to make videos because I need to have them. I need to make content to build this channel. And so I go out there and I don't have anything in mind. I genuinely don't. So many times I go out there and I just don't have anything in my head at all. I'm just thinking I need to go make some videos. I'm not coming out there with a topic. I don't necessarily come out there with an agenda. I'm just go out there. And my process when I'm doing that, which is very, very often, more often than not actually, my process is really simple. And I never really thought about what I was doing. And I'm not just saying this for this episode. This is, I never thought about it until I started to research this episode. I just sit in the car and I look out the window. And if it's a bright sunny day, that's great. If it's overcast, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. What I do is I just kind of look out the window and I look for the birds, any birds flying, and I look up at the clouds if there's any in the sky, and I look at the color of the blue if it's blue sky out, and I just kind of, it's really funny, even thinking about it right now, it just seems weird that I hadn't really recognized it. But I find that my inspiration comes from me sitting there genuinely feeling grateful for those things. I actually made a video some time ago, well, it's probably a couple months ago now, of me just kind of appreciating the trees that I sit under. And that's when I realized I really am grateful. That's what that's where a lot of my content comes from. That's one of the reasons I think that people, uh, those that follow me on TikTok, the people see me as being positive, even though a lot of the stuff I say isn't really that positive. I think that people can kind of sense that a lot of what I'm saying comes from the mindfulness and the state of mind of being truly grateful. And I'm not just grateful for the trees and the blue sky and the birds. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm sitting there. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm kind of just able to clear my mind and kind of just let it go and just say what I want to say. I'm grateful that I've found a way to kind of get these thoughts out and get these feelings out, because while I can't really tell you that, I mean, not honestly, at least I can't tell you honestly that this is something I ever thought about doing. Now that I'm doing it, the podcast and the TikTok channel, now that I'm doing it, I don't know why I never did it. Now, it's easy for me to kind of look back now and say, well, this is why. And the reason why I never did is because I was depressed for 15 years. I didn't feel like I had anything that anybody wanted to hear, and I felt like anything I had to say would do more harm than good. So I had, when you're depressed, you just convince yourself that you're a giant pile of shit and nobody wants to hear you and you're a burden. So that's how I felt. And that's why the idea of putting myself out there was terrifying. And I just knew that nobody would appreciate what I had to say. I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to help anybody. But now, and this is really the key, now I know that while I've said this 100,000 times, and I'm sure I'll say it 100,000 more, I'm not really out of my depression. I'm through my depression. And now that I'm through it and I'm kind of looking at it in a different angle and I'm trying to understand it a little bit better, and I'm really more aware of myself and my emotional state and my mind state, I find myself thinking about it and just feeling so grateful. Not that I'm on this weird other side of depression kind of mind state, but that I feel like I have something to say that people want to hear, and I feel like I can help people, and I'm really grateful for that. So I sit there in the car, and I you know what it is when I sit there and I think all these things, what I really arrive at is I'm grateful to have the clarity of understanding that I'm worthwhile, that I'm not what the depression told me that I was, and that I now can use my voice and I can use my mind and I can help make a difference in this world. And that right there is how I start making my videos. And like I said, it wasn't a conscious thought necessarily. It was just this. I was focusing on just trying to let whatever this is, whatever these messages, whatever these ideas that I have, I was just trying to let them in. And now that I have kind of spent this time working on this episode and really going into some of the, learning about what gratitude means and exactly how it's supposed to feel, and I just find myself so full of gratitude so often for just the smallest things. And I really do genuinely believe that it is because every day I go sit in the car and I spend 5 minutes just appreciating and feeling gratitude for that moment right before I'm about to record those videos. It is quite literally what Dr. Wayne Dyer was talking about in that quote. I give myself a gift of 5 minutes of contemplation and awe of everything I see around me. I go outside, I turn my attention to the many miracles around me. 5-minute a day regimen of appreciation and gratitude will help to focus my life in awe. And that's exactly what it has done. So when I read these quotes, sometimes the information or the sentiment or whatever it may not apply to your life. But as we go into this next section, and I start to talk about the things you can do to start to heighten, hone, and exercise your gratitude, I want you to understand how important this quote is, because I can tell you from firsthand experience that it will literally change your life. So trust me on this one. Of all of the points of discussion, of all the things that I've talked about in 16 episodes of this podcast, this is one of the ones that I have already done and I have seen and reaped the rewards of. So I can tell you that if you take 5 minutes a day, sitting and appreciating and showing gratitude for where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, what you have in your hand, whatever it is, if you do that, I promise you that your life will change and you will start to see and feel things that you never thought were possible. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie about this. This was one of those episodes and one of those topics that I did have to kind of really think about, and I did a lot of digging to try to come up with some ideas for this particular part, because in every episode I try to find practical ways, practical ideas, practical exercises that you can kind of use to try to put yourself in whatever mindset or mind state. I keep on using mind state. I don't know why I keep saying that, but it holds up here. So I looked around quite a bit, and I'm just going to go through a few of these ideas because, for one, I want to try to keep the episode shorter than episode 15, because that one was, as my mom says, a little long. So we're going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter. And so I'm just going to get through a few of these exercises or a few of these ideas of things that you can do to really kind of heighten and hone your feelings of gratitude. And the first one, I'm not going to lie, this is not one that I have done, and it's not one that I necessarily can speak to in terms of its effectiveness. But when I read multiple articles and multiple studies on different ways to, increase your gratitude, this one popped up multiple times. And so I thought, well, everybody's saying it, so it's got to have some merit here. And when you think about it, it really does hold up. So one of the easiest and best ways to really start to hone your way of showing gratitude is to start to journal. Now, some of you already do this, I know that, but you can literally write on the cover of your journal a gratitude journal, and what I mean by that is you don't need to journal in the traditional sense where you kind of like Dear Diary kind of stuff. You are literally going to make this journal just be about moments and ideas and feelings of gratitude that you have throughout the day. And the reason you do that is because it reinforces them, and it gives you a way to remind yourself of what you have to be grateful for. So if you go through your day and, somebody says, oh, I really like your hair, or hey, I really like those shoes, or, whatever it may be, and you feel that kind of that sense of gratitude for those compliments, or for who that person was, who they've been in your life, the fact that they've been a good friend of yours, whatever it may be, all of these things are things that you just take a moment and write them down. And you can repeat, and you can, have the same journal entry that says the same thing over and over again. But I promise you that if you do that for, a few weeks, a month, and then you go back and you read those first few pages, you read those first couple sentiments, what you're going to realize, and I promise you this is how it works, even though I haven't done it myself, I know this is how it works because I have seen something like it in my actual life. What you'll notice is that the first few entries are going to be, let's say, 5 things, 7 things. But as you do it more and more, you're going to find that 5 to 7 turns into a 10 to 12. and that 10 to 12 will slowly turn into a 16 to 20. And you're going to find that you're going to not want to write in your journal anymore, because there's going to just be so many things to write that you're going to be like, I've already written this, I'm not going to write it again. So then you're going to start to see that 16 to 20 turn into a 1 or 2, and you're going to, and your initial inclination when you think like that, or when I say that, is, oh no, like, it's not working. But the reality is that it's working so well that you don't even bother to write those other things. You're not taking them for granted. You just already know how grateful for you are for each of those things, and now you're just adding to the list, because your gratitude and your gratefulness for those things is automatic at that point in time. You don't even need to write that shit down anymore. And that's exactly what this kind of thing can do. That's exactly the kind of practice that you want to employ to grow and really hone that feeling of gratitude. The next idea that I found that I really do like is one that is journaling adjacent. But this is an exercise, and what makes this great is that this is something that you can do with friends. This is something you can do with partners and lovers and so on and so forth. This is something that you can do that will really help any relationship, but also, and most importantly, your relationship with yourself. So for this, you're going to get out a piece of paper, or use your computer or whatever, and you're going to type in some prompts. And you're going to do this before you're with your friends or whatever, so you can print it out and you can have this ready. And the idea is, you're going to give everybody some sheets of paper, and you can do this at parties too if you want to. You can have groups of people do this. It's not. It doesn't have to be a solo or a partner experience only. You can do this with a few people. But you're going to write down, and you don't have to just follow all of these. If you think of others that you want to do, definitely put them in there. But you're just going to write down things like this. You're going to write down, I'm grateful for 3 things I hear, blank. And then you're going to write, the idea is they write down, you or them, they write down 3 things that you're grateful that you hear. And then you're going to just have a list of prompts like that. You're going to say, I'm grateful for 3 things that I see, or 3 things that I smell, or 3 things that I touch, feel, 3 things that I taste. And you can go down, you can say 3 animals, 3 birds, 3 of my friends, 3, mentors, teachers, anything. You can literally put anything in there. I'm grateful for 3 of blank. And as you think of things, just add them to the list, add them to the idea. You could even take those and write them down or print them out, or type them out and print them up and cut them and make little cards out of them, so that you can then put them in a jar, and you can have a game where you just sit there and you talk about the things that you're grateful for. Now, not everybody is going to have a great time with that. Not everybody wants to do that kind of emotional work, but it is something that you can certainly do, especially with a couple, and even with your kids. It's a great exercise to do with kids, because it's something that you can start to impress upon them at a very early age just how important the concept of gratitude really is. And if they struggle to come up with answers, you without moving them too much, without trying to influence them too much, you can certainly start to try to point things out to them, because their awareness might not be where it should be. And you want to make sure that you're kind of pointing them in the right direction. Another, and this is kind of a no-brainer option, but I should mention it just so that we're safe. Another great way to kind of focus and practice gratitude is meditation. And if you meditate, if you're somebody who uses that or employs those that kind of exercise, you probably already know this, and you probably already think this way. But it's really kind of, like I said, it's kind of a no-brainer. You get into a meditative state, you get relaxed, you get comfortable, and then you just focus on the things that you're truly grateful for, the things that bring that sense of joy and wonder to your heart that you want them to have, right? That you want to have. You really want to try to, when going into this meditative state, you really want to try to keep it on the positive side of things. So you don't want to try to slip into, like I said earlier, you don't want to start slipping into, meditating about how happy you are that you're not with your ex-wife. You know what I mean? You don't want to think like that. You want it to be, I'm happy that I get to spend time with my son, not I'm happy that I, don't see my ex-wife anymore. You want to you want to focus on the good things. You want to really have positive energy while you're doing this kind of meditation. So try to do away with the gratefulness that, whatever negative thought you may have, and just focus on the positive things. And the last idea, and this honestly was just my idea, because this is one of the ways that I have expressed gratitude in my life. And I mean, it's not going to work for everybody, and it's not necessarily for everybody. But for me, music is a central part of my life, and it is the key to unlocking entire segments of my mind and my memories. So oftentimes when I want to really sink into not really a meditative trance or anything like that, but kind of just a state of true gratitude, I will turn on certain music and certain songs that fill me with that kind of feeling. A really good one for me, and some people are going to laugh at this, but is the song "May It Be" by Enya, which is the song that is played at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings movie. That song is hauntingly beautiful, and oftentimes when I hear it, it fills me with this kind of warm, powerful feeling, and it's easy to understand in that moment with that song playing exactly how important gratitude is, and how I'm feeling it in that moment. Now, obviously, everybody has different music and different tastes and things like that. But what's great about music is that it is the kind of gratitude that you can keep for yourself, but you can also share it with others. And there's nothing that some people appreciate more than getting a text message with a Spotify link. Oh, I was thinking about you. Here's this song. Oh, hey, I was just, here's this for you. Or, and it really does kind of hammer in how somebody makes you feel, how much you love them, how much you appreciate them. And when you're able to do that, you really can kind of, it feels good for both parts, right? Like, because you get to really share not just your gratitude, but you get to share something that you personally love. And if the person that's receiving it is appreciative of it, it just feels amazing. It's a connection that is hard to replicate and hard to find anywhere else. And so, with the newfound recipes for gratitudinal success, I don't even know if that's a word, but with these things in mind, I think that we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I have really truly enjoyed recording this episode. It is so refreshing to be able to talk about something other than regret, and doing the research into this, which I'm not going to lie, has not been as extensive as it normally would be, because I really have been juggling which direction I want to go each week or each episode. Now, I mentioned this in a TikTok that I posted, so I want to make sure I mention it here. I have some big episodes, some big concepts and ideas that will be coming up, but a few of them are going to be multi-part episodes. So I will release those usually like within a day or two of each other, but I know that for one instance, one that is going to be multiple parts is going to be the episode on love. I don't know when I'll be ready to start recording that. I still have a lot of work on how I'm going to kind of frame it. And then there's going to be some multi-parts for negative ones as well, and for some other kind of bigger concepts. So one of those that I mentioned in the TikTok video is I'm going to be doing an episode on depression, namely my experience with depression, and give people an idea of like where it came from, what I've done to work with it, how I understand it, and really I want to be able to show, or I guess talk about, what it's like for those of you that do not suffer with true debilitating depression. I want to make an episode that will truly make you understand it, so that you can then better help those around you that suffer from it. And when I do this episode, there's a very good chance that it ends up being a multi-part episode as well, because it is such a large topic, and I have so much personal information that I would want to share, that I'm, there's a good chance of it. Also, a possible episode that's coming up, and this may be a while still, but I wanted to make sure that it got out there because I know that some folks have asked me about it. On the TikTok channel, I have told numerous stories about this friend of mine that I no longer speak to, and we've had a big falling out, and I get messages about her quite often, and because I talk about her so much on the TikTok channel, it is very obvious to many people just how important she was to me. So there will probably be in the near-ish future an episode dedicated to telling the story of all of that and exactly what happened and how it all came down. The reason why that may be delayed or may be a while is because it's still very, very painful, and it still is not happening now, but like for me, I'm still processing a lot of it, and I want to make sure that there is a lesson, and that it's not just an hour-long bitch fest on my part. So I want to make sure that I can frame these things in a way that folks understand exactly what I have gone through, what my friend has gone through, and also do it without, obviously, saying anything hurtful or hateful. I just want to speak the truth, so that people can understand where I'm at. And I think that if I do that episode, the reason why I really have thought about doing it a lot is because I want people to really understand who I am. And she was a formative influence for me for many years. And so it's important to know where I am now to understand where I have been. And I think that's really important. So those are the plans. I'm not there. I don't have a schedule set for these yet, and I can't promise you that those multi-part episodes are going to be real soon. There's a little bit more that goes into doing this, because of the way that I have to release them and upload them and things like that, the way that I have to tag them. So I just have to study it a little bit more and really figure it all out. Once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Plus, and this is still very much up in the air, I have the possibility of very soon recording a couple episodes, varying topics with some guests. So you're not just going to have to listen to me ramble on for an hour each time. So I wanted to get all that clerical stuff out of the way and make sure everybody knew that. And now I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up with another quote. And this quote is by a lady named Jen Sincero, who you may know, you may not, but for Christmas, my sister got me a word of the day calendar kind of thing, where you peel off the pages, and the calendar that she got me is called You Are a Badass, and it's based on a book. I didn't know that when she got it for me, but it's based on a book called You Are a Badass. Jen Sincero is the lady that wrote that, and she's an inspirational speaker and an author and things like that, and she's got a great sense of humor, and she has a way of delivering some important information in a way that is easily understandable. So I'm not promoting her or anything. I don't get paid for this, but it's worth looking into maybe her book and what she has to say if you have the opportunity, because I know that just reading the calendar and even finding this quote makes me want to go read the book myself, which I have not done. So I will leave you with this. But let me say thank you. I appreciate you all that listen. It means the world to me that I'm not just screaming into the void here. And for those of you that follow me on TikTok, please let me know what you think of the episode. And, be critical if you'd like. If you feel like I can do something better, let me know. If you feel like I'm doing good, let me know. Because it certainly does feel nice to be appreciated for the amount of work that I put into these things. So, with that said, Jen Sincero said, "Gratitude is one of the strongest and most transformative states of being. It shifts your perspective from lack to abundance and allows you to focus on the good in your life, which in turn pulls more goodness into your reality." And that is from all experience that I've had over these past almost 5 months since this shift has taken place inside of me. I can tell you that without a doubt, one of the most honest and true things that you will ever read in your entire life. It shifts your perspective from lack to abundance and allows you to focus on the good in your life. And that's what it's all about, folks. Focus on what you love. Focus on what you're grateful for. Focus on living your life with gratitude every single day. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to be natural. You're going to feel really silly sometimes. But start with the small things. Start with your morning rituals. Start with just the simple things that you know you love and you know you're grateful for. Start with the people that you're most grateful for. But really think about them. Really think about, why am I grateful for this person? Why am I grateful for this moment? Why am I grateful for this? Really dive into it. Learn to appreciate it. And when you start to do that, when you do it consciously, when you do it over and over and over again, I promise you that it will become a natural state of being for you. You will feel gratitude for so much around you. You will just want to just grab as much of it as you can. You'll want to experience that feeling for every single moment of every single day. And you're going to want to share that feeling. And you're going to want people to, you're going to be so thirsty for it. You're going to be so hungry for it that you're going to want to share it. And when you do, you're going to really see the magic that can happen. You're going to really start to understand exactly how powerful this shit is. I can't tell you. You have to experience it yourself. You have to feel it for yourself. Because I can tell you this one thing. 5 months ago, I was ready to take my own life. And today, I am so grateful that I did not. Because now I get to sit here and tell anybody that listens to this how grateful I am, not just to be here to say this to you, but to know that maybe, just maybe, in hearing this, you will learn to feel this way about yourself. And it could, if you do these things, and if you start to live this way, change your life in a way that I could not imagine, and I know that you can't imagine right now either. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you all very much. I will talk to you very soon. Take care of yourself, and take care of others.